You know the deal.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome everybody back to the channel. On today's episode, I'm gonna be telling you the problem with the Demon 170 and how I'm gonna fix that. As you can tell, Spin City. This thing will just not hook, and that's the major issue. So the problem with these Demon 170s that not a lot of people are talking about, and the reason why a lot of people are selling these auto mode is because you can't get these things to hook. As you've seen from that little clip right there, if I would have stayed in the throttle, this thing probably would have got completely sideways or whipped around. There's already been a few videos up online about Demon 170 owners crashing their cars because they just stay in the throttle, and that's not something you want to do, especially with a car like this. The great thing about these Demon 170s is, yes, Dodge ran that number 889 at 151 in the quarter mile, but what a lot of people don't tell you is that the only way they were able to do that is something called max prep. Now, for those of you that don't know what max prep is, don't feel bad, because I've never heard of it either before I started doing some research. So, in a nutshell, what max prep is just like the best prep you can ever lay down at the drag strip. It's what the people that do track rentals, so if you're not familiar with what a track rental is, it's where a bunch of guys get together, usually 10 or more. They pay about $300 to $350 each person to rent that track out for a certain amount of time. And what the track owner will do is he'll get the guy to put the best possible prep you can ever put down, called max prep. It's basically super glue, and it's made for guys that are really trying to run a number. Like, if you guys don't know, RSP DMV just ran the new record for the Trackhawk. And they had max prep down. You know, they did a track rental and max prep was used, but it's not cheating. That's what everybody does. Like, when you go to Texas 2K, that's what they're putting down, is max prep. That's how they're getting those cars to hook. And when you go to MIR for like World Cup, big drag racing event, kind of like the Super Bowl or comparative to the Texas 2K, they put max prep down, and that's what Dodge did at a super low DA to get this thing to hook and run that number. So the problem with these Demon 170s is they just don't hook. Like, for me, I'm a regular guy. I don't do track rentals. I want to line up against normal people that take their cars to the drag strip. Well, when you go to the drag strip on a normal day, like a test and tune, something like Mylan has every Wednesdays, if you guys want to come out there and see me or line up, we can always do that. I'm out there every test and tune on a Wednesday that they're open. But like I was saying, on a regular prep track for a test and tune, they're not using that max prep. So a lot of Demon 170 owners are taking their cars to the track and they're thinking they're going to run those 8.9s or low 9s, and they're not. They're spinning the tires off this thing to smoke clouds. So that's really discouraging when the people that bought these cars wanted to run those 8.9s. But like I said earlier in the video, I'm pretty sure I found the fix to that, and how we're gonna solve that issue, I'm gonna show you in a second. So some of the things that make this Demon 170 really special is not just that it makes 1,025 horsepower right at the crank. It has a lot of trick features, like the line lock, the trans brake, was essentially like a two-step, and launch control. So the thing about these Demon 170s is they can actually build boost like a two-step, and you can bump into that second beam at the drag strip. All right, I'm gonna show you how to put this thing on the trans brake, or what I essentially call a two-step, because it lets you build boost. You have to be in drag mode, right? You're in it, got it, okay. And then you can activate the trans brake by pulling back on both pedals, pushing down the brake pedal, hitting the gas, release one pedal, and you can see it build and boost. And then you let go of that paddle and right through the back of the garage. A pretty trick feature computer's pretty smart in this thing, and the Dodge engineers knew that they were gonna have a problem laying this power down, and I think they put this feature that I'm gonna talk about in a second, specifically, or specifically, if that bothers you, how to fix this and how to make this thing hook, even on the street. A lot of people have been asking me how I like the Demon 170, and honestly, I'm not liking it. There was a point in time where I hated this thing and I was regretting about buying it because I come from the Trackhawk world. My Trackhawk makes almost 1,500 horsepower to the wheels, 1,485 if you want to be specific, and it just always puts the power down. Like, that's insane, making that much power and being to put it down, even from a dig on the street. So the thing about the Trackhawk, it always hooks 20 roll, 30 roll, 40 roll, 50 roll, 60 roll. It does not care. It just hooks and books. It's like the cool thing about owning a Trackhawk, right? That's what makes a Trackhawk special, right? The only downside to the Trackhawk is the weight. They would have made it a little bit lighter and tried not to make it so fancy with all the extra features. They really try to make that thing compete with like an X3, X4, X5, X6 BMW with how they try to make it nice, and I should say nice in the interior. But I think they really messed up. They called it a Trackhawk. They should have called it a Draghawk, because that's what that thing can do. Because like I said, James and those guys at RSP DMV, they're this close to running a 7-second quarter mile with Draghawk. Like I said, coming from the Trackhawk world, this thing just sucks, plain and simple. It will not hook. I've tried to put new tires on it. I've put weight in the back, which has helped, but nothing was really helping. It's unusable power. Yeah, it makes great power, but even on the drag strip, this thing just does not hook. And when I took to the drag strip, I was having a horrible time, and I immediately regretted my purchase. But now that I've been testing this thing out and really getting into the features of this thing, I'm really starting to fall in love with it again, and I can't wait to show you what I found out. Let's get down a little bit. To make the exhaust on here louder. This ain't doing it. Now that was from a lower roll, and as you can see, this thing did not spin at all. Things that are going through my head in this moment. Do I pull a Randall Reigns and make a run for it like in Gone in 60 Seconds? That's what I like to call a near miss. Back to regular scheduled programming. So the trick I found to making this thing hook is you come over to SRT dashboard and launch control, right? This is the key. So the thing about this Demon 170, it has a bunch of different features like trans brake, which acts like a two-step, but launch control is completely different. Launch control is going to let you leave like you have a Motec. It's going to pull power like having launch control on like a high horsepower GTR Viper. It's going to know that you're spinning, it's going to pull power, and it's going to put it back in when the car starts to hook. So I activated that little feature. Let's see if it fixes the problem. As you can tell, way better than last time. It didn't try to put itself in a ditch. It didn't try to go sideways. Yes, it pulled a little bit of power, but I'd rather lose a little bit of power and keep it straight and the tires hook up than to spin city, because if you guys are racing and you start spinning, it's pretty much game over from there. So hooking, you always hear, you can make a bunch of power. Spinning ain't winning. That's what everybody says. Spinning ain't winning. So you gotta have that. A lot of people that have really advanced cars with a lot of high horsepower, like 2000, these Pro Mods, they have a built-in traction control. Like these GTRs, they have Motec, or these Vipers, they have Motec, and that's how they're getting those things to hook. Let's try this feature one more time. Still not the best, but like I said, way better than going sideways. So how to fix this little problem is come over to activate launch control. This is not a trans brake, right? This is launch control, totally different. Put your foot down. And that is the key to getting this thing to run good times at the drag strip. Am I saying that you're gonna run an 8.9 at 151? No, but I'm saying that you're gonna run times and be able to compete with other cars that are there. The goal is to hook up and stay straight. So if I can get this thing to hook at the drag strip, I can be a lot more competitive with other cars that are there, which in turn is gonna make it a lot more fun. I see a lot of people selling these Demon 170s, specifically or specifically Racer X, because he just wasn't having fun with it. He may have had other reasons, but you know, guys like Racer X, they do YouTube as a business to make money off of it. They're smart, right? They're doing this to make money and have it as a job. Me, I'm an idiot. I do this for fun. This is my passion, with the hopes and dreams of maybe able to make it a living. It hasn't really turned out that way because nobody really hits the like button and not a lot of people comment. Those of you that do and do all the time, I see you guys and I appreciate it. But just for me, it hasn't worked out. So I just try to share you guys my passion with you guys. But that's what we're gonna do. Hopefully the track is gonna be opening up soon, or we're gonna travel and hit the track. I'm gonna make a few more hits, and then I'm gonna talk to you about the other future plans of the mods I'm gonna do with this thing. I got a bunch of mods coming for this thing in the mail. I've already talked to a few sponsors that are on board to hook this thing up with a few mods, and I really think it's gonna make all the difference. But, well, not bad, but not great. Definitely not no track hawk. So let me know what you guys think. Me personally, I think it's worthy of a 0 to 60 draggy test. I took it out a little bit later that night. All right, let's try this one more time. You guys probably can't see me, but you'll get the picture. What you do is you activate launch control, not the trans brake. And then you let this thing eat. We'll see what she does. Oh, spun a little bit. Oh, a little bit more. Woo! She really eats. Not saying she leaves like a track hawk, not saying that at all, but this thing is definitely worthy of being draggy tested 0 to 60. I'll tell you that. I need to do a 6130 too, but this thing's pretty impressive from a dig with that launch control. I'll say that. And I was impressed even with it being cooled down. It still hasn't hit the warmer temperatures here, so I'm waiting for the road to get really hot, and I really think this thing's really gonna shine. But I think y'all would be impressed, as well as me, about what this thing is capable of 0 to 60 with that launch control. I still need to play with it a little bit. I need to, what you can do on these Demons, they're really trick, right? You can detune them on specific shifts. So if you guys seen on the video, like the first to second shift, you would see the RPM spike, and then the second to third shift, they'd spike again. So you can actually turn down the torque on these to make them hit less hard, so it wouldn't spin and it wouldn't lose it. Like you've seen in the one part of the video where it came down, the front end came down. That's not what you want. You want that front end to stay up the whole time. So even if you're losing a little bit of power, the point is to put it down to the ground. So that's what I think I'm gonna play with next, but let me know what you guys want to see, and if you do want to see a 0 to 60 with this thing, and I'll make one. Another problem that I'm having with this thing is the weight distribution, and more specifically, where to put the weight in the trunk. So before, I had the weight in the very, very back, and this thing got very squirrely on me at higher speeds. So I'm trying to keep it over the axle to see which is better. Let me know what you guys think. Should I keep it in the very, very back, or is it better to have it over the axle? I'm trying to get some weight off the front of that nose so this thing can really lift up and hook. I got some really trick lightweight parts coming from a few sponsors that jumped on board, and I can't wait to show you guys those. And those of you that have been asking for Mustang content, I got some good news. I took it out the other day and I made a video with it. It's been a long time since I had it on the channel, and I really miss having this thing on the channel. I think it makes great POV videos. I'm gonna include some clips of it right here. But yeah, stay tuned for that one. Until next time, everybody take care and stay blessed.